Cool. Obviously, welcome back to HubSpot Handled. And today we have Oliver back by popular demand, and also Chris is off on holiday once again. But Oliver did an awesome job last time, so we just wanted him back to help me out. And this time he's gonna do the deep dive himself on customer agent, something that he's super, super passionate about. Um, and we'll take it from there. Oliver.
Fabulous. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. The Customer Agent, one of my favorite tools in the HubSpot arsenal. Now, this has been a tool that was released maybe about 2 years ago, but in that 2 years, it's just gone from strength to strength. And there have been quite some significant updates that have happened very recently or are about to happen. So what we wanted to do is just run through a few of those updates for you today. So you can see on the screen here, we're going to be talking about coaching opportunities. We're going to be talking about performance reporting, how segments can interact with the customer agent, and getting paid from the customer agent as well. So actually allowing the customer agent to take payments for the products that you're using HubSpot for. Which I think is fantastic. So I am going to steal your screen, Shalini, which I'm sure you don't mind.
No, not at all.
And I will just show you an agent that I set up very recently in a test portal. Over here we can see straight away we've got a very different view to what was previously available within the agent. So we can see at the top of the screen we've got the coaching opportunities, which wasn't previously available. So with this agent, we can see in particular there's a few knowledge gaps. Some of the experience could be a lot better, and yeah, various other knowledge gaps as well, which is really good to see at a glance without having to dive down like you would have had to do in the past, which again, I think a really helpful update here. If I hop over to, I'm going to start actually a little bit backwards with the segments rather than the CX views. Now, we can teach the customer agent various different things based on or rather, we can teach the customer agent how to interact with various different segments that have been set up within HubSpot, which wasn't previously available, and give it different knowledge articles based on a segment that a contact lives within. So if I hit this add content button over here, let's say we can upload a file. I've got various different files here that have been created in the past. So let's just say I've got a support policy. um, I want this support policy to only be available for certain different segments. I only want this to be available for, so let's say, professional customers, or I only want this to be available for basic customers, any kind of combination between these as well. Which is super useful. So that can kind of give instructions to the customer agent to say, I want you to be able to handle this information for these people differently to these people, which allows then the customer agent to give much more detail, much more information to your enterprise customers, and still be quite basic with perhaps a lower level or not even customers at that point. Um, so yeah, it just gives this much different knowledge bases based on that, which I think is super useful.
I think what
Let's
I really like about the fact you just mentioned that you could even have a different set of content for your customers versus non-customers, and that just elevates the customer experience for them. So, yeah, I love this part of the tool.
it is super useful. So we can teach the customer agent as well for your high value, for your enterprise customers. We might not necessarily even want the customer agent to deal with these people, in which case, well, we can then have a handover approach straight away that makes sure that your high value customers then are speaking to your the right team at the right time, rather than having the customer agent just kind of drive that conversation. So really, really useful. And if we come back, we can see in, as well the similar kind of add content options that were available before. So we can import public URLs, create short answers, and again, that's all going to be based on segments in the future as well. So really, really useful. That only a small update, I feel, but brings so much value. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Um, on from here, let's hop over to the coaching opportunities, which I spoke about before. So we can see down here, we've got a couple of different options for both reports and coaching opportunities. I'm going to come back to reports in just a second, but let's look at coaching opportunities, which wasn't previously available. So you'll have to forgive this agent. I purposely set this up to be not a very good agent for the sake of the demo. But we can see here of the conversations that have happened with this agent, where are the coaching opportunities that exist? Do we have conflicting knowledge? Do we have knowledge gaps? Do we just have low customer experience, which was kind of available before, but was very, very hidden. So this brings things just much, much more to the forefront, which I think fantastic. If we hop into this a little bit further, so here, for instance, we can see we've got a conflict knowledge here, which quite often can happen if you're feeding your customer agent with an awful lot of information, or just adding and adding and adding. So, Shalini, I'm sure you've perhaps seen it in the past where policies change and things just haven't been retaught to an agent, and there are these knowledge conflicts. So if
Sometimes
I open,
file internally, like you've just kept adding on a policy document and not removed the previous ones as well. So it just doesn't know which one's the right one.
exactly right, and it's such a common thing to happen as well, and we've all fallen into this trap with the customer agent, I'm sure. But with this update, we can see, okay, where are the knowledge conflicts? So if I've hopped straight into this, we can see straight away, these are the two offending documents. We've got a current support policy versus a legacy support policy that's just giving different information straight away. So based on that, I can see, okay, one of these documents is out of date or needs updating. And it even goes as far as to say what that particular conflict is. So these documents in themselves have multiple different sources of information on refund policies, on returns, on how long it takes to speak with an agent. So we can see exactly what the issue is and which needs to be changed. Um, on top of that, we can say we can now mark this as resolved. We can dismiss this and review later. So yeah, really, really useful that I feel. Um, on top of this as well, we can also hop in and start adding things like new short answers. We can add in various actions or handoffs like we could in the past as well. So yeah, really happy with that as an update. On top of what we had before, so knowledge gaps. Was asked a question, didn't know the answer. To be able to hop in and train the agent based on that, which I feel really useful. And let's just take a look at this low CX score over here as well. So um, again, speaking with customer agents can be quite frustrating for some users. So this conversation in particular needed somebody to step into it. Nobody was available at the time. This has immediately been flagged as a customer experience issue for us then to come in and review what's happened here. So I feel a really useful update on that front.
I think a lot of times people are hesitant on deploying customer agent just because they feel like they don't have control over how the agent's gonna respond to things. And this just gives you that whole layer of visibility of these are the problems that can happen. How do we fix it? How do we make sure that the knowledge that we're feeding to the customer agent is good, it's up to date, and then you can test it until you feel like you're comfortable deploying it to different channels.
Exactly right. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many different channels that the customer agent can step in for these days. One of the updates, which we're not going to speak about as well, is also deploying the customer agent in phone calls as well, which is possible. Might not recommend it just yet, mainly just because of the American accents. But no, that's fine. Um, on from here as well, we've got report views as well, which also very useful. Some of this that is on my screen here might be a little bit lacking just because this is a very new agent. So things like conversations handled over time um, might not necessarily be relevant for this, but we can see what kind of reports do become available. So we've got things like how many conversations have been handled, what's the handoff rate, um, deflections, thumbs up and thumbs down, and something which I could show now as well, just in a little bit more detail, is just how this might look as well once the data has started padding out. So we can see straight away we what are the top negative CX scores, what are the positive CX scores, so we can analyze exactly what the customer agent is good at, what it could need training at, which yeah, really useful on that front as well. So that report in itself lives over here. We can see average scores. We can see what are the negative impacts, yeah, positive impacts, which I just mentioned. So yeah, really useful on that front as well, I think. Um, on from the reporting side of things on that front, I've mentioned as well being able to be paid with the customer agent as well. So I wasn't able to demo this directly, but with payment links within your HubSpot portal as well, it is possible now that the customer agent can send over payment links to your customers to allow them to buy just directly within the platform as well, rather than have to be directed through an agent, say perhaps nobody's available at a certain time. So we're speeding up that buyer cycle as well. Again, really useful, I feel. So very happy with that as an update. So that looks similar to this as well. So here we've got another screenshot of just somebody asking to buy a product and being sent a checkout link straight away, rather than have to wait for any kind of human interaction to step in and resolve the query. So yeah, really happy with that. So again, as I said, I'm a huge fan of the customer agent, and can probably talk about it all day. I won't on this occasion. Shalini, any thoughts on anything there at all?
No, I absolutely love the customer agent. I'm a big advocate for it, and it's every month I feel like they're adding all these new things that are constantly making it better. I think it's gone through more progress in the last 3 months than it has in the 2 years that it's been out. And I think it's one of those things that most portals should start deploying it, even if it's like on your inbox that doesn't get handled as much. Like wherever there is space where you don't have people actively responding to customers, just try it out. Just put your customer agent live, see the value of it, and then you can roll it across your other channels and other departments.
And I
Um,
think as well with these reports as well that are coming, which we didn't really have access to before as well, you can see straight away any kind of knowledge gaps that are there where the agent might need coaching, which should hopefully help to build confidence and build trust in the tool as well.
exactly. Okay, cool. I'm gonna now go through some of these quick fire updates, like we like to call it. The first one is the new homepage. I don't know how many people have seen this, but there's a new redesigned homepage. It's a bit scary to for me because when I connected my calendar and my email and stuff to the test portal, it just automatically created a bunch of contacts for me. which wasn't what I wanted. But in terms of the looks, this looks really good because you get your meetings. So it also gives you like the join button. There's a meeting prep button where the AI can assist you in just generating some summaries for you. So if you're going into a lot of these sales calls, you can just ask it to review and create some meeting brief, and then you take a look at it, you jump into your call, which is super useful to have. And then on the right side, you get to see your meetings, your tasks, your activities broken down by the tabs as well. So the meeting will pull up your calendars in here. You can see it in a list view if you want. I don't know why you would, but it's there. Um, you have tasks, you have metrics. So depending on what you set your metrics as, you can see information that's relevant to you. So if you have your KPI as number of deals that you create, you can add that in here. If you want it to be something like number of contacts created, leads generated, amount closed, whatever it is, you can manage those metrics
Yeah, I
here.
think being able to add in your own metrics there as well, rather than be forced to what HubSpot thinks that you might need, is
Exactly.
really, really useful.
Yeah, and this tool is slowly rolling out across other features that we can't talk about yet, but keep an eye out because this metrics feature is going to be super cool as it develops more. And again, you can see your different contact activities, your campaigns, your tickets. So again, just gives you a good place, like one place to kind of go through all of the activities that are happening in the CRM. And the one thing that I have found out to make sure that you don't delete, you don't create new contacts is when you are connecting your calendar, make sure you turn off the options for HubSpot to automatically create emails, create contacts from new emails and calendar invites. There's a setting which I can't show it to you because my calendar is connected, but when you go into the connecting options, it will give you that. Just uncheck it, and that will help with this. I think that's something that maybe it needs to be fed back to HubSpot on making sure that it doesn't just automatically create a bunch of contacts that were not in your CRM when you're doing this. So when you're connecting, just make sure you have the right settings when you do that. Um, the next bit is one of the biggest updates. Even though it's the smallest of change, I feel like this is one of the biggest, most revolutionary updates that HubSpot has ever rolled, which is setting a maximum marketing contact limit. Because for years and years and years, I've had customers go over their marketing contact limit accidentally. One nurture campaign here, and import there, and suddenly you're over your marketing contact limit. So now, thankfully, you can go into your account and billing, and then go into marketing contacts, and then set a maximum number of marketing contacts. So this way, you will not be automatically upgraded to the next tier. You make sure that anytime someone uploads a mass document of contacts and you might be and sets them into marketing contact, HubSpot goes like, nope, can't do that, stops it. Um, really good
I mean,
update. Sorry,
this as an update has been a long, long time coming.
absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, similar to yourself, I've seen so many people break their marketing contact limits just completely by accident, and then automatically be upgraded to the next tier, which means paying more money. So yeah, so it's been a long, long time coming.
Yep. And on the other side, I've also seen customers who might not be using marketing contacts to the full extent because they might have 7,000, but they only keep 2,000 because they're scared of at some point reaching that limit. So just gives you a bit more control over um, your marketing contacts. The next one is on merge rules and duplicate rules, which also is super cool because now under the duplicates tab, so you have the duplicate, well, where am I? Hold on. You have the duplicate tabs where you have your manage your duplicates, etc., etc. But now you have this little tab called configure rules. And what this does is not only are you detecting duplicates based on custom rules that we have discussed in previous sessions, but also merge rules. Previously, you could only merge based on like most recently created, most recently associated with something activities, oldest activity, oldest created, and stuff like that. And HubSpot listen to us when we complain that, hey, that's not enough options. Sometimes we need really specific filters. Like, for example, if someone's a customer, that takes priority, that record takes priority over anything else. If someone's has a Yahoo or Gmail, that's probably a low priority. That would probably be the second record that gets merged. So you can create rules. So I've created a rule here. I've called it free mail. Basically, it does not contain Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook. But then what this does is it's like a waterfall. So it'll look at the first condition. If it doesn't create like a winning record based off that, then it'll go to the next record and the next and next until it finds the winning record. You can do up to five. So I've put email, I've put life cycle stages customer. So let's say they realize, okay, both emails are not Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, whatever. So it'll then look at which record is customer. If it doesn't find a customer record, then I'll look at most activities logged, which one has most activities logged. And at that point, it will probably find a winning record. But let's say neither of them have any activities logged, then be like, okay, which one has the most associated objects? Because those objects might have certain information that might be more relevant. And then lastly, I love this one, which is highest fill rate, which basically looks at all of the properties on that record and goes like, which one is more filled? And I think that's what my winning rule would be if I had to set up my CRM, because a lot of times a record gets created, but it's incomplete, and the older record has all of that information, or sometimes the other way around. So just
Mm.
whichever has the most information, make that the primary record. And then if none of those rules meet, that's when you go to like one of the older options that used to exist, and then HubSpot will try to merge based on that. So again, a super powerful tool that's coming into the whole deduplication features. I know that's something that HubSpot prides itself on, and I'm just loving more of these new features being developed for the deduplication tool so that it's really easy for people to manage and be able to just, handle their duplicates.
Yeah, that's a brilliant update.
Yeah. And then the next bit on property history, slightly smaller update is when you go into the property history now or go into the details, you get to see the property history. So Chris's job title has changed a few times from CEO, minion, sales director, awesome person to now sales guy. And you can go in and restore the value. So I want to call him an awesome person. And I can just go in and do that, and it'll take a few minutes to show up, but it does that for you. The one caveat here is anything that's more than 2 weeks old, any value that can't be restored. So as you can see now, it's gone back to awesome person, and it does say that it's a property restore rather than me actually changing the value, which is again really good for just audit logs. And then secondly, if let's say you see a change being made, let's say from this workflow, we can't do it because it's more than 2 weeks, but let's say you spot something and you're like, hey, actually, I think there's a workflow that's doing something wrong and I want to restore all the changes made from that. You can just click here, restore all changes from this source, and that goes into the restore CRM changes tool that HubSpot has, where you can select what the source is, what objects, what property, etc., and then you can just run a restore log using the tool right from the contact record instead of navigating to that specific tool again.
So that could be really useful as well. Say if we've got a workflow which is mistakenly updating a single property across multiple records,
Yeah,
to be able to identify that and fix it at the source rather than having to close up shop and go and rectify the issue. Really
exactly.
powerful.
Yeah, just bringing all the stuff you need in one place rather than trying to click away and find the right tool and then doing it. The next bit with the scheduler, there's not a lot of it I can demo, but what we want to talk about is that the meeting scheduler now lets you You can now, when you book on behalf of your colleague, you can see their calendar details and then be able to be like, okay, are they busy? Are they available? So you set up your user preferences whenever you are connecting your calendar. You'll have something called calendar view permissions, and you can set it as, okay, I don't want anyone on HubSpot to see what I'm actually doing at that time. So you can keep it as private. But if you want someone else who is scheduling meetings on your behalf to be able to see what calls you're on, so that maybe if something's more tentative, or something might be like you have an hour blocked out for a focus session that you might want a customer call because that's urgent. So being able to see all of those details is good. And what that looks like in practice is I am creating this for Melvin testing. This is the screenshot, and I get to see, okay, they have a demo booked. They have some of these, but then also there are some bits that are busy, and that will come from the calendar. So if you do have events that you've marked private because they're personal to you, you don't want anyone to see, HubSpot will still respect that and will make sure that you don't see that and it comes up as busy. But anything that is related to a HubSpot contact or related to a public, well, a non-private event in your calendar will show up, so that whoever is scheduling something on your behalf will be able to get the full insight on your calendar. Reports and dashboards can now be cached. So if you go into actions and cache settings, you can change the cache to like every hour. The dashboards get cached. This is especially useful if you have like really slow systems, or if you have a 9 a.m. call and you want to pull up this dashboard and then it takes a while to load. So sometimes that can get a bit awkward. So what this will help is it already loads up the data every hour. So you get to see, even if it's not up to date to that time, you can even do something like 5 minutes. You can do 1 hour, 2 hours, etc. So it just gives you the data that you need for that meeting, for example. So I didn't know dashboard caching was a thing, but it is, and it is quite useful to people. So if you find this useful, let me know. Let me know why. I think that the meeting is the only use case I can think of it. Um, but yeah. Um, See you next week, Adrian. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to go through a couple more. You can now re-enroll in the agent builder. So if you go into the workflow trigger and go to rules, you can re-enroll people. So that's like how a workflow works. If the trigger gets met repeated times, you can re-enroll them. And I'm going to go through the schedule prompts in Breeze. So I have a prompt. I wanted to run at 8 a.m. every morning, and I wanted to give me a summary of all my high priority tasks, calls, and emails in a neat list with higher life cycle stage taking importance. So when I set it up, I go on edit. I'm going to select the schedule. It's going to happen at 8 a.m. every morning. So it's going to come up on as one of my Breeze chats in the assistant whenever I log into HubSpot. It also sends you a notification on your phone if you have the HubSpot mobile app. So if you just want to get up in the morning, see your list of things, you can see it on your phone. Breeze will generate that for you. And I'm going to stop here. There's definitely a lot more updates that we're going to bring to you next week. Thank you for joining, Oliver. It's been a pleasure
No, thank
having
you for
you.
having me.
It's been awesome going through all of these updates with you. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Enjoy your rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.